You're on.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the City Council meeting. Today is April 15th, 2024. It's approximately 1 p.m. I am Mayor Enriquez. Before we start, I want to mention that we have an ASL, American Sign Language interpreter, available at every regular council meeting, and she will be in the front for anyone who requires interpretation services. We will start with a moment of silence for the brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces as they protect our interests around the globe, as well as the courageous men and women of the Las Cruces Police Department and Las Cruces Fire Department as they keep our city safe 24/7, 365. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, we'll have presentations and certificates, and we do have a few today. I'll be right there. Okay, there we go. So the first thing we have is a recognition of the winners of the Water Conservation Poster Contest. The GFWC Progress Club of Las Cruces Water Conservation Poster Contest. Can we have you come up? You can stand and face the crowd. Wyatt, Marcelo, Annalise. As everyone knows, here in Las Cruces, water is one of New Mexico's most vital and precious resource. The GFWC Progress Club of Las Cruces held their second water conservation poster contest to bring awareness to young children. GFWC Progress Club and Las Cruces asked third grade students from Fair Acres Elementary to draw a poster symbolizing water awareness and the importance of conserving water in the community. We have before us our first, second, and third place winners who will receive monetary prizes for their hard work as well as a certificate. At this time, I would like to congratulate and introduce the following students. First place is Wyatt Howe. Second place is Marcelo Chavez. And third place is Annalise Padilla. Would anyone want to say a few words?
The Progress Club has been here in Las Cruces since 1915. And we donate money and help people out in the community. And these three winners are going to get some money for doing this. So first place gets $100. Second place gets $75. And third gets $50.
Can I just get one?
So you all want to go around and shake all the councilors' hands?
And then and show them your posters, because they saw the back of you. Oh, whoopsie.
Yeah, you walk around the back and show them all.
If you all want to go back there and shake everyone's hands.
Up the ramp, to the right. To the left.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you. While they're going around shaking everyone's hand, if the next one is the National Safety Telecommunications Week, the proclamation will be presented to Jennifer Gorm if she's here. She want to come up? Yeah. Good to see you. Congratulations. Is there anything you wanted to say?
I don't mind.
I don't mind. I don't mind. I'll give you that opportunity.
Thank you.
Are they done? The next proclamation, whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property. And whereas the safety of our police officers, firefighters, and emergency medical personnel is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who telephone the Mesilla Valley Regional Dispatch Authority Communications Center. And whereas professional public telecommunications are a vital link between citizens and victims and are the first and most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services. And whereas public safety telecommunications are the single vital link of our police officers, firefighters, and emergency medical response by monitoring to their activities by radio, providing them information, and ensuring their safety. And whereas public safety telecommunicators of the Mesilla Valley Regional Dispatch Authority are the first responders who contribute substantially in part to the public safety team, and whereas each dispatcher has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job in the past year. Now, therefore, we, the Mayor and City Council of Las Cruces and New Mexico, do hereby proclaim the week of April 14th through 20th, 2024, as National Public Safety Telecommunications Week, in honor of the men and women whose diligence and professionalism keep our communities and citizens safe. Congratulations.
Mayor, Chair, and City Council. On behalf of Mesilla Valley Regional Dispatch Authority, I accept with great appreciation the proclamation designating April 14th through 20th National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. This proclamation serves as a reminder of the essential role played by our public safety telecommunicators in ensuring the safety and security of our city. As we celebrate this week, we are reminded of the often unseen heroes who work tirelessly behind the scenes, answering calls for help, providing critical information to emergency responders, and offering comfort to those in distress. The vital role of public safety telecommunications cannot be overstated. These individuals are the backbone of our emergency response system. Their unwavering commitment to public service saves lives every day. Their professionalism, compassion, and dedication exemplify the highest standards of public safety, and I am immensely grateful to work with such an amazing team. We must also recognize our telecommunicators not only as dispatchers, but as first responders in their own right. They are the first point of contact in times of crisis, the linchpin upon which the success of our emergency responses efforts hinge. Supporting our telecommunicators as first responders means providing them with the training, resources, and support they need to excel in their roles. It means acknowledging their toll for the work that they take. It means acknowledging the toll their work can take on their mental and emotional well-being, and ensuring necessary support services. It means advocating for policies that recognize their contributions and afford them with the respect and recognition they deserve. As we reflect on the importance of National Public Safety Telecommunications Week, let us commit ourselves to supporting our telecommunicators as the invaluable first responders they are. Let us extend our gratitude not just in word, but in deeds. Let us stand united in the efforts to ensure that they have everything they need to continue serving our community with excellence and dedication. Again, I extend my deepest thanks to the City of Las Cruces for their proclamation of National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. May it serve as a testimony to our unwavering commitment to supporting and honoring the vital work of public safety telecommunicators today and always. Thank you very much.
Ice cream, breakfast, something.
Something.
All right, thank you. Good to see you all. Good to see you, Albert. Next is a Child Abuse Awareness Month. Be presented to Jeannie Resendez. Is she here? Is anyone here for child abuse awareness? Yeah, you want to come up? Is that the right name, Jeannie? Jeannie? Hi, come on. So the City of Las Cruces proclamation reads, whereas City of Las Cruces Family and Youth Innovations Plus New Mexico Children's Youth and Families Department, Doñana County District Attorney's Office, and other community partners recognize April as National Child Abuse Prevention Month. And whereas children are vital to our community, the future success, prosperity, and quality of life, as well as being our most vulnerable asset. And whereas all children deserve to thrive in safe, stable, nurturing homes and communities to ensure health, growth, and development. And whereas child abuse and neglect is a community responsibility that affects the quality of life of a community and its members. And whereas all parents should have access to the social support, knowledge, and concrete resources needed to cope with the stress and demands related to parenting and to nurture their children and to help them grow in their full potential. And whereas effective child abuse prevention strategies succeed because of partnerships created among community members, human service and child welfare agencies, schools, faith communities, healthcare providers, civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. Now, therefore, we, the Mayor and City Council of Las Cruces, New Mexico, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2024 as Child Abuse Prevention Month, and call upon citizens, community agencies, faith groups, medical facilities, elected leaders, and businesses to increase their participation in efforts to support families, thereby preventing child abuse and strengthening the community in which we live. Thank you. Congratulations. Okay, just a photo? Yes. The next proclamation is Fair House Housing Month. Emma Stahl and Catalina Elizabeth Hadfield. Yes, come on up. Okay, thank you. The next proclamation, whereas fair and equal housing is a right guaranteed to all Americans, and whereas the principle of fair and equal housing is a fundamental human entitlement, and whereas the month of April 2024 represents the 56th anniversary of the signing of the Federal Fair Housing Act by then President Lyndon B. Johnson, and whereas all citizens have the right to live where they choose within their financial means, and whereas people must not be denied housing because of race, color, religion, sex, national origin, disability, sexual orientation, gender identity, or marital or family status. And whereas we must, as individuals, assure equal access to housing for all in our communities. And whereas New Mexico acknowledges the importance of assuring fair and equal treatment to all citizens. Now, therefore, we, the mayor and the city council of Las Cruces, New Mexico, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2024 as Fair Housing Month. Congratulations.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Emma Stahl, and I'm a housing attorney with New Mexico Legal Aid. I wanted to start by thanking the city for this recognition and also for the city's continued work at providing access and increasing access to safe and affordable housing for our community members. As housing attorneys working in this area, we represent low-income New Mexicans in eviction proceedings and also advocating for folks in conditions issues and also with housing authorities and other service providers. And I just want to say that if any of y'all know anybody who's facing stable housing issues, please have them reach out to us.
Thank you so much, City of Las Cruces, for this honor. Emma and my name's Catalina Hadfield. I'm also a housing attorney with New Mexico Legal Aid. We love our work. We're honored by doing this work and by serving this community. That being said, we do everything that we can in our power to help people stay housed, but our work is limited. And so I just want to also remind our community that homelessness is a community problem. It's not an individual problem, and we all have to do our part in order to provide fair and accessible housing to everyone. That being said, we love the part that we get to play in that, and we can't wait to see the part that you all get to play in that too. So thank you.
Too eager to get to that one. So the next one is Donate Life Month. Proclamation presented to Deborah Temple and Kelsey Santo. Thank you. Thanks. So the proclamation, whereas one hero organ donor can save the lives of up to 8 people through the selfless gift of organ donations and improve the lives of up to 75 others with eye and tissue donations. And whereas more than 100,000 patients currently wait for life-saving organ transplants across the nation, including more than 600 New Mexicans. And whereas New Mexicans save a record number of lives through organ donation in 2023, 95 donor heroes resulted in 241 life-saving transplants. And whereas all New Mexicans can register to be organ donors regardless of their age and medical history. And whereas we truly honor those who gave the extraordinary gift of life through living and deceased donations. And whereas we encourage every New Mexican to register as a donor on their driver's license or ID card at the Motor Vehicle Division or online at donatelifenm.org and talk to their families about giving the gift of life. Now, therefore, we, the mayor and city council of Las Cruces, New Mexico, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2024 as Donate Life Month.
So let me just pop this down here. Esteemed Mayor Enriquez and the respected City Council members, we just wanted to take a moment, one, to introduce ourselves. Again, I'm Debbie, and this is Kelsey. We're with New Mexico Donor Services, a nonprofit organization whose mission is to save lives through organ, eye, and tissue donation. We stand here today with just profound gratitude on behalf of New Mexico Donor Services and all those whose lives have been touched by the generosity of organ, eye, and tissue donation. It's with sincere appreciation that I extend my heartfelt thanks to each of you for your steadfast support and the proclamation honoring National Donate Life Month. Your recognition of this vital cause within our community is truly commendable. By proclaiming this month, you have not only celebrated the selflessness of donor heroes, but have also amplified the importance of organ and tissue donation in saving lives. Your leadership serves as a beacon of hope, guiding us towards a future where every individual in need receives the gift they so desperately await. New Mexicans saved record numbers through organ and tissue donation last year. And in our southern New Mexico community as a whole, we saw 4 donors, which equals 9 lives saved. And we recently had our first donor here at Three Cruces Regional Hospital. Again, just our heartfelt gratitude to the mayor and to the members of the City Council for your unwavering support and dedication to the mission of New Mexico Donor Services. Thank you.
The next one is Parkinson Awareness Month, proclamation presented to Sarah Stigell. So the proclamation reads, whereas Parkinson's disease is a chronic progressive neurological disease and is the second most common neurodegenerative condition, it is estimated that nearly 1 million people in the United States live with Parkinson's disease, with close to 90,000 new diagnoses each year. And whereas it is estimated that the economic burden of Parkinson's disease to be nearly $52 billion per year in the United States. Medications alone cost an average of $2,500 a year, and therapeutic surgery can cost up to $100,000 per person. And whereas research suggests that the cause of Parkinson's disease is a combination of genetic and environmental factors, but the exact cause and progression of the disease is still unknown. And whereas the symptoms of Parkinson's disease varies from person to person, with some of the more common symptoms including tremors, slowness of movement, and rigidity, difficulty with balance, swallowing, chewing, speaking, cognitive impairment, and dementia, mood disorders such as depression and anxiety, constipation, vision changes, skin problems, and sleep difficulties. Currently, there is no cure, therapy, or drug to halt the progression of Parkinson's disease. However, regular exercise can help manage symptoms and have been proven to slow the progression. And whereas there is no specific blood or imaging test that can confirm a Parkinson's diagnosis, certain tests such as an MRI or the brain and dopamine transporter scan can help to verify a Parkinson's disease diagnosis or rule out other diseases that can mimic Parkinson's symptoms. And whereas increased education and research is needed to find more effective treatments with fewer side effects and ultimately a cure of Parkinson's disease. And whereas it is a distinct privilege of the City Council to bestow proclamations, and all City of Las Cruces residents are represented by the City Council and therefore speak with a united voice through the actions and deeds of this council. Now therefore, we, the Mayor and City Council of Las Cruces, New Mexico, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2024 as Parkinson's Awareness Month. Thank you. Congratulations. Did you want to say a few words?
Yes.
first? Okay. Yes.
Hello, I'm Sarah Stiegel. I don't need to say anything more about Parkinson's. I think the proclamation said it about all of it. We do have a support group here in Las Cruces. It's the third Tuesday of each month at Holiday Inn Express. We also have a meeting for the newly diagnosed with Parkinson's on the fourth Tuesday of each month. And this is a smaller group. If you're just diagnosed, it's sometimes easier to be with a smaller group than the large group. And our support group draws about 30 to 35 people a month. So we have good attendance. We have speakers, you know, we do fun things. This month we're having a picnic. So just trying to do something different, you know. And then as far as exercise, we have pickleball, in which Diane Geaver was instrumental in bringing to our group because she's an avid fan. And so we now offer that every Thursday at Mearshite. And we also have Rocksteady Boxing is available. And we have Carol Witham, who provides us with a free class Monday and Wednesday at Northrise. So there are exercise opportunities. And also, some of you may know Richard Havey, who is now doing the Qigong class at Munson, and a Qigong and a laughter yoga over at the library. So we have quite a few things going on. And anybody is welcome to the newly diagnosed. It's not just for newly. Sometimes it's good to have the long timers, more experienced, to be there to offer advice and help. And oh yes, and we do offer resources if you need, either written or computer-wise. And I think that's it. That's about it. Thank you to the mayor and the council. Thank you very much.
The next proclamation is for Small Business Week, and we'll present those to the Greater Chamber, the Green Chamber, the Hispanic Chamber, and the Small Business Development Center. So I'd ask Debbie Moore, Senator Kerry Hamlin, Richard Aguilar, and Joanne Garre, and whoever else wants to join you from your team.
I've got a leadership class here.
A whole leadership class, huh?
Our leadership class is here.
Hey, Taylor. So I'll go ahead and read the proclamation that includes all, and then hand them to you all. And then if anybody wants to share a few words. Thank you for being here, of course. So whereas more than 50 years, the President of the United States has issued a proclamation announcing National Small Business Week, which recognizes the critical contributions of America's entrepreneurs and small business owners. And whereas more than half of Americans either own or work for a small business, and they create about 2 out of every 3 new jobs in the United States each year. Whereas part of the National Business Week, the U.S. Small Business Administration takes the opportunity to highlight the impact of outstanding entrepreneurs, small business owners, and others from all 50 states and U.S. territories. Whereas every day they're working to grow small businesses, create 21st century jobs, drive innovation, and increase America's global competitiveness. And whereas National Small Business Week is a time to honor and celebrate America's entrepreneurs and innovative startups. And whereas National Small Business Week celebrates the resilience, innovation, and economic power of America's small businesses and innovative startups. And whereas this year's week-long events will acknowledge small businesses from across the country from their resilience, ingenuity, and creativity, as well as recognize SBA partners for their involvement in entrepreneurial development, disaster recovery, government contracting, financial development, and overall support for small business and entrepreneurship. And whereas the Greater Las Cruces Green, and Las Cruces Hispanic Chambers fully support small businesses throughout our community to strive to provide them with tools for success and sustainability. Now, therefore, we, the Mayor and City Council of Las Cruces, New Mexico, do hereby proclaim the week of April 28th through May 4th, 2024 as National Small Business Week, and urge our community to support our local and small businesses in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Congratulations. Thank you. They're not all the same. Go, let's get it forward. Go ahead.
The mayor said your sign is upside down. Not fair. Debbie Moore, President and CEO of the Greater Las Cruces Chamber of Commerce. And I do want to recognize our Leadership Las Cruces class who is with us today. Come on, guys, stand up. Let's give you a round of applause. Part of their Thank you all for coming today. Part of their requirement is to attend a city council meeting, so I told them this would be a good one to attend because many of them actually do own or work for a small business. So that proves that they're managers, they're owners, and they're owners themselves. I remark at Heather Solopek, who owns Solopek Legacy Pecans here in town. They're committed to growing in our community. Small business is the heart of any community. With our community, it's not just this week. Let's go to and shop locally every day of every week because these are the businesses that add to the wonderful tapestry that makes Las Cruces, Las Cruces. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, everybody. It's always lovely to see friends and family of folks that are really part of our small business community because the Las Cruces Green Chamber of Commerce, by the way, my name is Carrie Hamblin, the Las Cruces Green Chamber of Commerce talks about the importance of locally owned businesses, and we know that locally owned businesses give back to local charities 350% more than do national chains. And I see heads nodding. I see both business members and nonprofits nodding, and the reason why is because our small businesses are invested in our community. They are committed to making our community a better place, and they know that the nonprofits that are doing work that is improving the lives of people in Las Cruces are also doing very important things. And so that relationship is something that is such an honor to be able to talk about. The Las Cruces Green Chamber of Commerce talks about think local first on a regular basis. If you can't, if you're looking for something, go to a local store. If that local store doesn't have it, ask them if they can order it for you. And if they can't order it for you, if they know somebody else in town who might sell that product, and then if you can't find that, then you have permission to go online. But we do ask you to go think local first because our local businesses are a vital part of our local community, and we're very grateful. So it's an honor to be able to celebrate you today. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Council.
Good afternoon. My name is Richard Aguilar. I'm with the Las Cruces Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and it's great to be here this afternoon. Have a few words that I'd like to say. First of all, thank you to the great city of Las Cruces, for supporting small businesses. Thank you, Mayor, City Council. We can't thank you enough for supporting our local small business community. We're honored to be here. I'm honored to be here today celebrating small businesses within our community. There we go. My apologies, I'm having some technical difficulties here. So, as my colleagues mentioned, it's important to buy local. And again, we appreciate the support, and any chance we get to buy local, we definitely promote that. Again, thank you for the proclamation, for allowing us to be part of this great celebration of the National Small Business Week, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. That's it? Okay. So next on the agenda, we have Pets of the Week, Amy DeFelix.
Hello everyone, I'm Amy DeFelix with the Animal Services Center of the Mesilla Valley. And of course, every week I present the Pets of the Week. And we'll go ahead and start off with our Cat of the Week. Her name is Katana. Her number is 74549. And she says, I was found as a stray outside of an apartment complex. I was really just looking for my forever home. I'm extremely friendly and affectionate, and I was just hoping the cat distribution system could do the work for me. Now that I'm at the Animal Services Center, I'm just waiting for my family to come by and meet me. And then, of course, we also have our Dog of the Week. His name is Buick. His number is 65159. And he says, I'm a young and playful pup who just wants a family to love forever. I came to the Animal Services Center with 2 siblings, and I'm sadly the last one waiting to be adopted. I enjoy walks on the leash, and I love treats. I promise to be a constant companion and perfect addition to your household. Just stop by the ASCMV and meet me. And then events going on, of course, all April long, we have our Spring Fling Adoption Special. So all of our adoptions are only $50, and that is all-encompassing and covers the spay neuter surgery, microchipping, the vaccines as well. And then this Saturday, April 20th, we will actually have an off-site adoption event at Cinder Cannabis. We'll be there from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., and the address, it is 4420 Sonoma Ranch Boulevard. The zip code's 88011. And of course, all of our website links, our main website, ascmv.org, and then we're all over social media. So we have Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and then YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts is where we post our upcoming episodes for our podcast, Tales from the Paw Side. We're hoping to get our next episode up soon. But yeah, thank you. Encourage you all to follow us, keep us updated. We post, we're trying to get into posting even just adoptable animals just daily so we can get more exposure for all of our animals. So we encourage you all to follow us and keep updated. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Amy. Next, we have the conflict of interest. Does any member of the city council, city manager, or any member of the city staff have any known conflict of interest with any item on the agenda?
None.
None, Graham.
None.
Next, we have the public participation. We'll be allowing up to 3 minutes, no pending litigation or discussion of items on non-consent. Anyone on the first row on my left? On the second, yes.
Hi, council members. Thank you for having me. Just 2 quick items.
Sir, could you state your name for the record?
Yes, sir. Stephen Kahn, longtime resident of Las Cruces. First item is I just wondered about perhaps getting increased police presence up in the Las Alturas, Quail Run, Mission Bell area. I think we have family property up there. There's been a couple lootings recently in the area, some strange characters, frankly, around there. I think it kind of gets a little neglected with the attention to the East Mesa, and I just wanted, I think, with the border spillover and stuff like that, I'd just like to see a little more presence up there for surveillance. And the second item is, I'm just wondering, in addition to the youth YMCA we're building on El Paseo, is there any other kind of business we're attracting to El Paseo? A decade ago, we had the Video 4, we had the International Cafe, and all those businesses. Now it's sort of a cannabis den slum kind of situation. I just wondered if we're getting anything more there. And that's basically it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Anyone on the third row? Fourth row? Start the timer.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Jorge Aguirre. I'm a longtime resident. And I just come here because of the draft for the proposed change to city codes. And I just want you to consider that you're going to get a lot of opposition. I was reading the comments. And, you know, it's something I can't understand. It's as if somebody with an apartment complex, they like their apartment complex and their apartment lifestyle a lot, and they want to force everybody in the city to live the way they live. And maybe, you know, single-family housing, some people still like that. Just letting you know that some people don't want to live the same as we did for the last several decades. And that sustainability requires more density. And change is inevitable. And so what I see in all the comments and the concerns of the citizens is that they oppose change in any way that it comes. And that's okay. You know, we're all entitled to how we like our lifestyle. However, resilience in a community and in an organism and in an individual, it comes from the ability to adapt to change, because change is inevitable. And maybe the requirements and the density of the population that we had several decades ago was appropriate for codes that required only single-family housing, but that's not the case anymore. We have a large demand for housing, we have a large influx of people coming from everywhere. We have a large amount of people who have limited incomes, who have limited purchasing power, and an economy that is limiting more and more people's ability to purchase a home. And so the city needs to create new legislation to adapt to the realities of our community so that we can all prosper together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Stan Engel, for the record. My son told me that on Friday, the mayor came to see him at Central Elementary, and if he's telling the truth, thank you for showing up at Central Elementary, Mr. Mayor. I hope you told all our elementary kids about the importance of democracy. So I've appeared before this council several times as an advocate for more humane infrastructure improvements around our city, and several of my friends also advocate for such things. And we brought up issues that we've had with traffic and cars and whatnot, and I think it's always going to be an ongoing issue. One of the things that struck me the last time I was here a month ago was one of our community members came and said, the thing with cars is that it's just about personal responsibility, and just like guns, she said as well. I don't think it's as black and white as that. You know, with an infrastructure that encourages our worst behaviors, and with a lack of enforcement of irresponsible, distracted driving and red light running, sure, you know, you can be driving down a street that's nice and wide and say, well, you know what, I'm just gonna run that red light because it just barely turned red, and who's gonna punish me, right? I've almost been hit several times in a crosswalk. I was going to Sutherland's to pick up something, and I was walking there because I live close by. To the man's credit, he did apologize to me, but I told him, get off your phone and drive. So personal responsibility only goes so far. Somebody else can pay the price for somebody's lack of personal responsibility. You know, it goes the same with guns as well. I heard in my neighborhood a gun was stolen out of a car. I don't know if it's been recovered or not, but now there is a gun out there that somebody else could, you know, pay the price because that gun is out there. So my feeling is that yes, we are responsible for our actions, but we also have to like realize that sometimes our actions mean that other people pay the price. Sometimes saying personal responsibility means that we are trying to not take responsibility, maybe even for bad policy decisions in the past. We had a great group that talked about fair housing. You know, we can I'm very lucky that I have a cushion, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people have to work, and if their rent goes up or if their insurance goes up, what choices do they have? You know, they have choices, but maybe all of them might not be that great. And we need to recognize that as a community so that we can build the social infrastructure to take care of these people. And then I think we can finally say, well, it's personal responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on the fourth row? Anyone on the fifth row? Sixth?
Mayor, Council, I'm Juan Garcia. I have been watching Yoli Diaz in this and the county chambers for a year. She has reached out to city, county, and state leaders for help in addressing catastrophic health care, cancer. Yoli, in my opinion, has bounced from one elected official to another with no official commitment for resolving this issue. For whatever reason, there is no interest in providing funds for at least a pilot program to address this critical issue in our community. We have unrestricted money to give away, UBI, to those in one category, money to provide unrestricted, quote, free rides in the Las Cruces bus system, but no, quote, no funds for this issue. The optics are not good. In my opinion, it appears our elected officials prefer one segment of the community over the other. I understand some issues have a higher political return on investment, like building another local abortion clinic, but not a badly needed major mental health facility. The free bus ride program, like the, quote, 15-minute city model, under the guise of the proposed rezoning the Las Cruces, is likely important politically to some in these chambers who want to do away with cars on the road. UBI is good for the political resume, as some here attempt to climb the political ladder. In my opinion, caring for the cancer sick is not worth the return on political investment, which is why it's treated like a hot potato, quote. This weekend, I had the opportunity to drive to La Mesa on New Mexico Highway 28. I saw the relocated little shop on Main, past Choppy's restaurant. Front door was open, not locked, but open to the customers and citizens. No vagrants laying in front of the door or drug addicts shooting up drugs in plain sight or threatening customers. La Mesa gained the thriving small business that was located downtown Las Cruces. Why did this occur? Because we failed to protect this and many other small businesses that had become forgotten victims and members of the Las Cruces Hall of Shame. Because in our politicized, upside-down world, the criminal is most often the victim. I understand we have 2 ordinances coming up for review and vote. I hope you, the council, make the right decisions in your votes. And as I watched the proclamation that just took place, it would have been nice to have the chamber leaders here publicly advocating on behalf of the small businesses, with Hispanic women, with folks that barely can make $1, that make very few dollars every day, advocating for those small businesses that were impacted by the criminal element. I didn't see them. I hope they advocated somewhere, but I never saw them. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, City Manager, City Council. My name is Tony. I understand there is a proclamation or an ordinance proposed by the City Council based on last City Council meeting to support a ceasefire in Gaza. War is hell. As a veteran with over 30 years of public and dedicated military service and multi-combat deployments, including Operation Desert Shield and Storm, Operation Joint Endeavor and Guard, Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation Enduring Freedom, I understand firsthand what it's like to serve in a combat environment. Unless you have experienced war, you have no idea the hardships, mentally, physically, and emotionally, that all involved endure, especially service members. With that said, let me remind you of some key events regarding this public statement and why it should not be supported. Today marks a grand milestone for the people of Israel. Over 6 months since October 7th, the one-day Holocaust in which so many Israeli people were brutally murdered, raped, burned alive, and taken hostage. The worst slaughter of Israelis since the Holocaust of World War II, when over 6 million Jews were slaughtered and killed. Let me say that number again, 6 million. Let's not forget the thousands of Israelis have had to leave their homes in northern Israel due to the attacks by Hezbollah. With Passover approaching, the holiday of freedom and exodus from Egypt, the citizens of Israel in a dire fight for their freedom to live securely in their ancient homeland. I suspect that most of you have never been to Israel, yet you're proposing supporting the ceasefire. Thanks to the incredible courage and heroism of the brave men and women of the Israeli Defense Forces, Israel is fighting back, and with God's Hashem's help, they will win. Let's keep in mind we started this war. Hamas was designated as a terrorist organization by the U.S. and other countries. By supporting a ceasefire, you let Hamas off the hook for the atrocities they committed against Israel on October 7th. If you look who was marginalizing the people of Gaza, it's Hamas, not Israel. Considering all the money, resources, and aid that Gaza has received over the years from the international community is in the billions, maybe even the trillions, and has been squandered supporting Hamas initiatives, i.e. digging tunnels, paying terrorists and martyrs, buying and smuggling munitions to attack Israel, and enriching themselves. As the leadership of Hamas are billionaires, and many of them don't even reside in Gaza. Instead, they live in luxury in the country of Qatar. Hamas enables Palestinians by using them as human shields, stealing aid, and employing hospitals and human facilities, such as schools and military capabilities, and ignoring the rule of law. Hamas is engaged in a PR campaign to magnify the criticism of Israel by failing to distinguish between civilians and combatants in casualty reports. You need to take with a grain of salt the casualty numbers being reported by the Gaza Health Ministry, as the ministry is controlled by Hamas. The U.S. must signal to the world and its allies that it unequivocally defends Israel and its right to ensure that Hamas will no longer be a threat to Israel, and all the hostages must be released. Anything else will yield more death, disaster, hardship, and destruction in the near term and for the foreseeable future. So if you're going to advocate for a ceasefire in Israel, I would ask that you include the resolution, proclamation, the release of all Israeli hostages that were taken by Hamas on October 7th. I would also encourage to condemn Hamas, who started this war, as well as the PIG.
Okay. Sorry, your time is up. Thank you.
I think after serving 30 years in the military, I should be able to finish my statement.
If you do it quickly, please.
I will. Just this weekend, Iran launched an unprecedented attack on Israel, using dozens, hundreds of drones and missiles. Unfortunately, with the grace of God, Israel is able to defend itself and its citizens from the brazen attack. Let me ask you a question. What would you have done had you been in Israel? This is what Israel and its citizens endure on a constant basis from Hamas in Gaza, Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, and now Iran. I would highly encourage you all to support Israel and not support or pass the ceasefire resolution in Gaza. As it is stated in the book of Genesis, those who bless Israel will be blessed, those who curse Israel will be cursed. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Anyone else on that row? And we'll go to the 7th row.
Good afternoon. My name is Diane Starbuck. I'm a member of Animal Advocates for Change. We have been waiting for news of the city's new animal welfare ordinance, other than it's being worked on. We have requested a copy, but none has been forthcoming. Doña Ana County has hired a veterinarian and is preparing for a mobile vet unit to go out into the community for spay and neuters. Why is the city so slow to share their support of the companion animals and their owners? We are also waiting to hear when community members will be allowed on the board of the Animal Service Center. I encourage Ms. Barbara Bencomo to have the city lawyers write a letter to the state if she has not already done so. Las Cruces has been unable to control its companion animal population, resulting in the suffering of abandoned animals and a high kill rate at our shelter. As New Mexico's second largest city, it is shameful that the city has not adopted a fully funded, phased-in, mandatory spay and neuter ordinance. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else on that same row?
Mayor, councilors. My name is Diane Williams. I'm here on a little bit different vein. I wanted to express my appreciation to our police chief, his department. I made a terrible mistake in starting to read comments on Facebook, and I'm appalled at some of the emotions that are directed towards people that are trying to do their best. The one thing I would like to ask, though, I tried to look at crime statistics for the city. It really stops, I believe, in 2020. There's not any additional, at least on the portal, there's not any additional information as far as seeing where our crime rate actually is and where we're going. I've heard that we are going down on the violent crime side, which I think is also kind of a trend in the country as a whole. And also, are there statistics on crimes committed by the homeless versus our local thuggery, drug dealers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? It seems the anger is very directed towards them, and the real problem there is our mental health issues, and that's throughout the entire country. That and homelessness are problems in the entire country. It's not unique to Las Cruces. It's not you guys doing a terrible job at what you're doing. It is a complex, huge problem that will take a lot of resources and money to fix. And then we will have people screaming about their taxes going for the mentally ill. The only other thing, and this is a little different topic, it's about zoning and not related to what's on the agenda. But on the new news today, there was people protesting a zoning change in El Paso. And I happened to see their sign. And I would recommend that the city looks at the signs that they post for zoning ordinances. Large, bright green, can't miss, big, bold black letters on it. I think that would be a real benefit with all the zoning issues that seem to be occurring. And I'm sorry, my voice, my allergies, it's terrible, but thank you very much.
Thank you. I think that's row 7. Anybody else in row 7? Row 8, 9. Moving here on my right side, on the second row. Third row, yes.
Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, City staff. Hello, my name is Susan Greenwald Cabello. I am the new Executive Director of Downtown Las Cruces Partnership. You guys have seen me before in my role as the Director of the Arts and Cultural District, so I am not new to the organization, just new to this position. I would like to take a moment to remind you that we are a state and nationally accredited organization that deals with economic development in the TID and Arts and Cultural District. We have new leadership as well. Our current board chair and vice chair are John Munoz and Jeffrey Stewart. John Munoz of Electronic Caregiver and Jeffrey Stewart of the Mesilla Valley Pharmacy. So our leadership is downtown as well. Downtown is growing and thriving, and I want to thank you guys and our city liaison, Chris Favor, for helping us in our mission to make it better every day. One new business is J&G Watch Repair. They were the kiosk in the mall, if you remember that. They are now on the corner of Griggs and Water. So it's really exciting to see a new business open up that kind of harkens back to the Main Street of old. He does not only watch repair, but jewelry repair as well. Just a really neat addition to our businesses downtown. When speaking with our businesses, I talk to at least 20 businesses a month. Many of them have said that they really appreciate the security services provided by the TID, and that they would ask that those services be expanded if possible in the next fiscal year. And finally, I am going to leave my business cards with Christine, our city clerk. I would encourage you, without violating rolling quorum, to contact me if you'd like to learn more about downtown. I'd be so happy to talk, to give you a walking or driving tour of our district and introduce you to any of our merchants that you would like to interact with. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so on my right, anyone on the third row? Fourth? Fifth?
Good afternoon. I thank you for the opportunity. My name is Judy Berryman. I'm the current chair of the Historic Preservation Commission. I'm speaking in regards to the pending demolition of multiple historic structures at the northwest corner of University and Chaparral. We are again losing a part of Las Cruces cultural history, and I believe there's been no formal documentation to protect any remaining evidence. Although the proposed demolition is well within the requirements set under Chapter 40, Historic Preservation Ordinance, under Chapter 2, under the Historic Preservation Ordinance and Planning and Zoning, my question is, why can't we address demolition of historic buildings, even if they're not in a historic district, prior to that act? My second question would be, is there any federal or state money involved in this endeavor? If there is, we are in violation of both those laws that protect historic resources. The opportunity that I see is that we have the opportunity to address this issue. The HBC is interested, along with community members, city staff, and the construction industry, that we could come together to create a diversified working group that can offer guidance on development, rather than addressing it after the buildings have gone down. By design, such a group would be transformative and would allow all of us to move beyond the current process. This would facilitate constructive and practical solutions. I propose the following: a work session regarding the property at University and Chaparral that would include city staff, the proposed developer, property owner, along with any members of the community. The goal would be to exchange ideas, share perspectives, and provide an opportunity to voice our opinion. The second task would be to allow the historic preservation specialist or a historian to actually document the buildings before they're demolished. If we can't save the buildings, we will at least have the history of the buildings. The goal would be to have a professional record to be filed with the New Mexico State University Archives and Special Collections for any future research. And finally, a separate meeting with the property owners to discuss potential changes. I understand a number of issues are going on, but I would like to ask that the HBC is not informed of demolition of historic buildings by driving by and seeing a bulldozer in front of the building. Would like to have prior information and maybe consultation. I thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, council members, my name is Eddie Thomas.
Mayor Enriquez, allow me to begin by saying that hiring an outside third-party auditing firm to advise you on the city council meeting procedure is not only a waste of taxpayers' money and totally unnecessary, but is also a thinly veiled see-through attempt to avert blame for moving the public input portion to the back of the meeting agenda in an attempt to escape public scrutiny for the policies proposed by this council. This is something you've already signaled your true intentions on. This move would make it prohibitively inconvenient for most of the people that bravely come down to speak to you and the council members. May I respectfully remind you that you are all public servants, accountable to us, the tax-paying, salary-paying citizens of Las Cruces, and as such, you should be accommodating us. To do otherwise would interfere with the democratic process afforded by the Constitution for the redress of grievances. One such policy is the proposed rezoning ordinance that would increase crime while decreasing property values. This proposal, if enacted, would increase neighborhood traffic and noise and destroy the peace and quiet we have come to enjoy. It's why so many of us moved here. I don't want to live in a congested cannabis community. We already have enough of them on every corner and shopping strip mall. We like single-family neighborhoods that promote family life. We like the space and serenity that our current zoning structure affords. I've spent thousands of dollars fixing up my house. I've done my part to stimulate the local economy. I've hired plumbers, electricians, landscapers, painters, etc. I have the receipts to prove it. I even had solar panels installed. So is this how you're going to reward me and other homeowners that have invested in improving the appearance and add to the neighborhood appeal? What possible purpose could this serve? Surely it is not in the tax-paying homeowner's interest. Instead, why aren't you doing something about the city's more pressing problems like crime, gang violence, drug abuse, and the homeless? Instead of building more low-income housing at taxpayers' expense, why don't you focus on attracting high-paying jobs that can contribute to the tax base rather than draining it? We already have one, Desert Hope, with another one on the way called Amador Crossing. When that one gets full, are we going to build another one? And what are we going to name it?
All right. Thank you, sir. Anyone on that same row? The next row? Following row? Anyone on the right side? Okay, thank you. Next is a closed meeting statement. The Las Cruces City Council met in closed session at 10:15 a.m. on April 8th, 2024. The following members were in attendance: Mayor Eric Enriquez, Councilor McClure, Councilor Graham, Mayor Pro Tem Bencomo, Councilor Coran arrived at 11:02. Councilor Iran Flores and and Councilor Matisse were absent. Staff Melissa Caldwell from Municipal Court, and she left at 10:27. Judge Anthony Filosa, and he left at 10:27. HR Deputy Director J.C. Borrego and City Clerk Christine Rivera were present. The meeting adjourned at 11:30 a.m. Statement for the record: the Las Cruces City Council met in closed session and only discussed those limited items as stated in the posted notice. The purpose of the closed meeting is to discuss limited personnel matters regarding Municipal Judge 2, which is closed pursuant to NMSA 1978, Section 1015-1H2. Now I need a acceptance of agenda.
Move to approve. Second, Corin.
This is on the motion to accept the agenda as presented. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Cran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Next on the agenda is the old business. So I'll need a motion and a second, and then a vote for it to be required to remove from the table for discussion.
I move, so we're moving to remove it for the table or to consider it first? Remove
Yes,
from
to
the table
consider
first.
motion.
Okay, I move we remove it from the table for consideration.
Second, Graham.
This is on the motion to remove ordinance 3065 from the table for discussion. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Cran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. So, old business is Council Bill number 24-023, ordinance number 3065, an ordinance approving a zone change from R4C multi-dwelling, high-density and limited retail and office conditional to R4 multi-dwelling, high-density, limited retail and office for property encompassing 2.908 plus acres and located at 712 and 722 Hendy Place and 725 Basha Arc, submitted by M&M Building Solutions representative. And David Weir will present.
Mayor and City Council, David Weir, the Community Development Department. As you've already noted, this was tabled from your April 1st meeting, and it again is a zone change to remove a condition that was placed when it was zoned in 2020. Just some of the current conditions of the property. It is currently zoned R14C. The C is a condition on its building height. At the time the initial zoning was placed, it limited it to 1 story. As you've also noted, it's just a shade under 3 acres in site, and it is 3 undeveloped lots that were platted with the Banmore Estate subdivision. This is the zoning map. So you can the 3 lots in the gray are the R4C. The property to the west or the southwest is R1C. And if you recall, at the time of the initial zoning, the lots adjacent to the R4 properties were to be a 1/4 acre in size. And those tracts that were adjacent to the homes on Crosley Lane were to be a 1/3 acre in size. And so all of those have been platted in that manner. And building and construction is taking place on the site. This is an aerial photograph, so you can see to the west or southwest is a residential area with condos and apartments. To the west is a single-family residential home. To the north off Stern Drive in this direction is offices and an RV park. And then on the east side of I-10, between I-10 and Valley, are a mixture of commercial and industrial type uses. Again, the proposal is not to change the proposed use, but to remove the height restrictions on it. The applicant would like to have a multi-story development on that. It would allow them to meet more of the density that could be provided on the property. It would add to the multifamily housing stock for the city. And when they go forward with it for the design elements, they will still have to meet the setbacks, landscaping, parking, drainage, any of those development requirements. Also, at the time that they platted the property and started selling the lots, the single-family lots in the Banmore subdivision, in their covenants, they made a statement that in the future they would come forward with a zone change to remove that height restriction. There may be a question about how quickly can you come back with the change in zoning or another request of that. The zoning code says in a denial case, you have to wait 1 year. So as a rule of thumb, that's kind of what staff uses for accepting or processing another rezoning application for the same property. This is just the lots as their legal descriptions for them. Again, they're all approximately about 1 acre in size. At the time that the proposal went through and the analysis that was done for the Planning and Zoning Commission, it was reviewed by the departments. It was a determination there were no health, safety, or welfare issues. The proposed zoning was in keeping with the mix of uses in the adjacent properties, that it also met the description of the suburban place type of Elevate Las Cruces future development map, and basically that it's a mix of uses, that you have single family, multifamily, retail and uses, and then institutional uses like church, schools, parks, etc. When the proposal went to the Planning and Zoning Commission and then to the City Council, our normal public notice requirements were done. We advertised it in the paper. We sent letters to all property owners within 500 feet, and we had the applicant post a sign on the property. At the time of P&Z, there was limited comment, but as you're all aware of, at your April meeting, you had quite a bit of neighborhood comment and input at that time. The Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed the zone change at their January meeting. At that time, they recommended approval based upon findings. And the findings that they made was, one, that the proposed zone change was in keeping with Elevate Las Cruces. It also met all the legal requirements of a zone change from the zoning code. It encouraged development of a vacant property. There was a rational nexus between the proposed use and the benefit to the community. That also it would be compatible with adjacent land uses, and that it was adjacent to a major road network. Both Stern and Bouts are considered arterial collector roads, which are intended to handle more traffic to get people across town. With that, I'll stand for any questions that the council has. You have your normal options to vote yes and approve the zone change as submitted. You could vote no and deny. You could also vote to amend it as you seem fit based on information provided today, or you could table it again. The applicant, Mr. Troy Mitchell, is also present and available for any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you, David. Any questions? Councilor Flores?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Weir. Well, I read that you sent us all an email insofar as the TIA and other details, but the TIA was done several years ago. And I'm sure that traffic conditions have changed as a result, even though I believe you said that maybe it didn't. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. But, you know, I have several concerns about the change, and there are no assurances anywhere that they will not proceed with a 3-story structure. And I don't know, the TIA that was conducted several years ago, I haven't seen it. I don't know what it took into account. I don't think anybody has seen it up here. Maybe I'm the only one who hasn't. I don't think the public has seen it. I don't think the people who actually live there, because there were several emails that I was CC'd on. I think my colleagues were also. I'm not sure about that. So I think I think one of the problems I have here, or the issue at hand for me, is that it's almost like a bait and switch. You know, it was presented as a 2-story structure, or that it wouldn't be higher, and now they've come back. And I think that the concerns that have been presented to us here pretty much substantiate concern for overdevelopment. It's true that we need housing, but it was interesting how the developer said that, and people saying, well, we need housing. Yes, we need housing. The operative word in that the adjective would be affordable housing. And their language is that the rates would be market prices or market rates, market rents. So it's not really alleviating the need for affordable housing or housing for people who wouldn't otherwise have a home. So I'm not, yeah. So the study that was done specifically stated that the capacity was 15,000, I guess, motor vehicles going back and forth. But I think our population has grown in the last few years, and I don't think that it would be that low at this point. So I think, and the TIAs usually come in after everything's been approved, or if there's what is the process there? When is the TIA conducted? After it's been approved or before it's been approved, or?
Mayor and Councilor Flores, the TIA was put in or was approved as a part of the construction drawings for the subdivision. And the TIA basically explains the existing conditions and if there are any additional improvements that need to be made to the roadways at that time. The 15,000 content is major collector streets. That's what they're designed to, the maximum capacity. I don't know the particular numbers of the TIA, but the existing traffic flows and the build out of the development were both below that 1,500 traffic count. Some of the other comments that you've made, I think those are questions that the applicant could provide to you about their intent for the property, why they came forward at this time, and could also provide details on the TIA since they're the ones that commissioned that with the development of the subdivision.
Well, if I may, Mr. Weir, it'd be wonderful for his intent to be in writing, because he can say, with all due respect, can say what is convenient at this time and then renege at any time. So really, unless he's under oath or something, I wouldn't take his word for it, with all due respect. So, but if the rest of the council want to hear him, it's up to them. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, David, I would definitely like to hear from, that's why we rescheduled the meeting to today. So if the developer is here, I would love to hear from them, and I will have some follow-up questions. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Troy Mitchell. Apologize for missing last meeting. I got COVID the weekend prior and was still infectious, so didn't want to show up. So I apologize for that, for wasting your guys' time. I'm glad that we got this tabled. One thing I want to make clear, I do have the, one of the 100 sheets that came in the TIA. The TIA was done on 64 single-family lots and a maximum density for the R4 zoning. And it shows, it projects at like a 2031 year fully built projection for the Bouts and Stern subdivision intersections. It shows of the max capacity, those are around 20% or less. Just for everyone's information, I'd be happy to pass this around. I brought one copy. I didn't. Apologize.
Thank you. Can I just go ahead, Mayor, ask some questions? Mitchell, right?
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. Just a couple questions. If granted the second story, the removal of that, do you have an idea about how many units you would plan to build?
Yes, we would only go 2-story because, as precedents, we saw that was allowed in the subdivision. So that's why kind of we're requesting this. Our units that we have on our conceptual are 23.
23 units?
Yes.
Okay. And then 2 weeks ago, there was conversation about putting a restriction of 35 feet. Is that something that you are comfortable with?
Yes, yeah. That would match with our, with the subdivision, as it's being built, the single-family homes, and we could get our 2-story and a 35.
Okay. And then for the 23 units, you expect to have 2 cars per apartment, or what are you thinking in terms of parking lot?
In terms of parking, we're required to do 1.5 per unit.
Yeah.
And so we will have some bike racks because it's accessible to the university. That would be the plan.
Okay, thank you. And then, so I did want to note something about, because I've also had some emails about, well, this wouldn't even help the housing crisis anyway because they're not affordable apartments. But I do want to say that all housing helps the housing crisis. MFA reports that there are 10 high-end renters to every 1 unit in Las Cruces. So then folks rent down, taking up units for folks who cannot afford higher rent units. There's also a report that talks about, a market report that says that the city would need a minimum of 236 lots to come online every year in order to keep up with population increase. So here's where I'm coming from with everyone. Number one, naming that traffic calming is a huge priority for me, for Bouts, for McClure, for Hoagland, for Elks, for many streets in Las Cruces. It is a huge problem, and it is a huge priority for me, and I'm making sure that it's a huge priority for the council and Public Works. So I just want to point that out. The second thing is that, you know, when we talk about building apartment complexes, the city and certainly myself are trying to ask developers to do their part, so that the city doesn't just rely on nonprofit developers. We want these private developers to build in the infill, to not just build out in the East Mesa, to build more apartments, more multifamily units, more missing middle units. And then when they come to us, we make it incredibly difficult. So these are the balance that I'm keeping as an elected official, certainly for this part of the area, but really all parts. It does not matter where there are proposals for apartments, whether it's Bouts, whether it's McClure, whether it's Sonoma Ranch. It is always a problem for residents in the area when we are talking about apartments. I've been here this will be my 5th year. Every time there's been a zoning request for apartments, there has always been an issue for residents. It doesn't matter what the issue is. And so I also do want you to note the heaviness of that when we are also facing as a city a giant housing crisis. 5,600 rental units are short in the city of Las Cruces. 23 won't fix it, but I want to work with developers who are coming to the table, who are saying, we want to do this and we want to do it in good faith. And so my invitation now to you, let me just finish my thought and I'll pass it back to you. Then my invitation to you is are you the developer or the owner? I know there's a little bit of yes. For you to also be a good neighbor. I think one of the biggest issues that I've heard in this neighborhood is the irrigation ditch, that it hasn't been cleaned. There's neighbors in the area that have had to go and clean it themselves. And so just some of those little pieces, right, that my invitation then to you is also to come into this neighborhood and in good faith operate so that folks are able to talk with you about some of the feedback that they have.
Yeah. Sorry, I was not the developer of the subdivider of the original land.
Okay.
I'm just these 3 parcels, so I apologize. That
I
was confusing.
see. So you're only the parcels on the
Yes,
end.
yeah.
I understand.
And I think you brought up a great point. I think, economies of scale really plays into this. The intent to try to, reduce the apartment rental costs it's directly correlated with the cost to build the structures. And so if we can build, more units on a parcel, it reduces the cost and drives the cost of rentals down. That's kind of our intent in this, as well as the single-family housing being allowed to go 2-story as well.
Thank you. I think also what this has taught me, and I can talk about it during my council comments, but I think, and as Realize comes to life, the need for inclusionary zoning and the need for providing density bonuses for developers who want to build more multifamily housing. And, I would love to, in the future, be able to ask someone like you, will you save 20% of those apartments you're building to be affordable housing apartments? So that is my note for everybody, that I am hoping that this is something we can get done in the future. I think for today, unfortunately, that might not be able to happen, but that is at least where I'm coming from. And then I guess I will continue my advocacy for the ditch elsewhere, David, because I think it is a real issue and it's a huge issue, and we have to fix it. Sorry, that is not on you.
No,
Okay.
no, it's okay. I appreciate that. I do want everyone to know this is locally funded, you know, I mean, it's not some big out-of-town developer. That's really something that we wanted to push, so trying to keep it local.
Okay, thank you. I will make an amendment for the 35 feet, but I will let my colleagues ask you questions first.
Any other questions? Sorry, I need to clarify, David just told me. It would be, so we wouldn't be hitting our max R4 density, I apologize. It's 23, the conceptual we have is 23 per lot. So there's 3 lots total, I'm sorry, they're just over 1 acre, or one of them's over 1 acre and 2 of them are under. I didn't,
Thank you for clarifying.
yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't.
Mayor? Yes, Councilor Matisse, go ahead.
I'll speak to David. Thank you.
He's smarter than me.
So David, on the previous agreement that was made with Ken Miyagishima and the homeowners, or the stakeholders, it was to be a one-story.
Mayor and Councilor Matisse, there was that the structures would be one story, but there was no cap on the number of units that would be built on each individual lot.
Okay, now, how many total units? 23 times 3?
Yes, so that'd be 69 units. The maximum density for that would be approximately 113 or 116 units, I believe. I did the math once, but it was over 110.
110.
But less than 120.
Okay. Thank you, David. You know, it's important for me to recognize that a lot of the stakeholders, homeowners, and even people that moved into that subdivision have really depended on that first agreement. Whereas some of those home buyers, maybe we're not hearing from them, they purchased that $600,000, $800,000 home thinking that it was going to be the first agreement, you know, one story. And it still may be 50 people, 60 people, but the stakeholders agreed to that it wouldn't be capped, correct?
Mr. Chairman, using stories as a standard is rather difficult for staff because there's variable in it. A height in feet is much easier to deal with, and then as we in the Community Development Department did an analysis, the 35 feet is the same that the single-family homes, new ones will be allowed to be built to, and those are between the existing neighborhoods and these projects. So just, again, just for information for council to consider.
Okay. On your engineering knowledge and basis, if it was the one story, what would be the number of residents?
Mayor and Councilor Matisse, I couldn't answer that because until you put the square footage of the units that you're going to provide, there are a lot of different design criteria that could go into that.
Maybe Mr. Mitchell might know that answer.
I don't know that specific answer. I know that each lot is a different size and shape. So yes, our conceptual for the first lot is 23. On the other lots, I don't believe we'll be able to fit that amount. But if we went, you know, single story, we would, it depends on the size per unit. So if we went 1 bedrooms, we could be able to fit, you know, the same amount if they're like 500 square feet, potentially. So we're trying to kind of make them a little bigger than that. We've got two, conceptuals are 2 bedrooms and 3 bedrooms.
You know, assessment-wise and value-wise, you probably wouldn't build a 500 square foot property next to an $800,000 home.
No, that's what we don't want to do.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? No other questions? At this time, I'll go ahead and ask members of the public. I know that we've heard from you before. Do you have a specific spokesperson that you want, or I can allow 2 of you to come up and give you 5 minutes each so you can talk? Yeah, come on up, sir. Is there anyone with the neighborhood association? Okay. After he's done, you can.
Hi, I'm Mike Debs, and I live a block from there.
Okay, sorry, so you are a member of the residents?
Yes.
So you're going to speak on behalf of the group?
Yes, please. Well, not of the whole group, no.
Okay, then, sir, go ahead. Since you want to speak, I'll give you 2 minutes to speak.
Okay. Everybody can do this. I don't have any college. I need to tell you that up front.
Sir, can you move your microphone?
Yes,
And then
speak.
say your name, please.
My name is Mike Bevis, and I don't have any college, and I can't hem-haw around and talk about all the baloney. I'm understanding is that they want to put, instead of 2-story apartments, 4-story. I don't know if that's true or not. We've been dancing around that song since the guy got here. I can tell you this. I had my home built 37 years ago by John Curry. Every piece of property we has a French drain, huge, and this tall, full of river rock. Occasionally we get standing water.
Sir, can you speak directly to
Yes,
the...
and
Thanks.
these people, it's about money. These people didn't put a French drain on the back corner of that property. There's a pit as big as this, half as big as this room, where all the water from that is supposed to run down into this place and sit. I haven't figured out who's going to build a house next to that mosquito pit. I've been to the back 2 houses that Red Cliff built. I talked to a little girl sitting there. They're 340 apiece, and they're the smallest ones on the property. The property that they built across the street on Bouts, there's no sidewalks whatsoever. You dump that many people into that small an area, they're all going to have a dog or 2. And how in the world do you get parking for 1.5 people? I guess I don't have a lot of this education, and I see a lot of song and dance here. This is pretty cut and dry. The last city council approved something, and the whole bump has nothing to do with housing for the poor or any of that. It has to do with money. If you don't understand anything in this country, go back to the money. They're just trying to whack a bunch. We agreed, and the whole group kind of went for the first agenda that the council set down. Now they're back for what's called a bump in the car business, and Bill would know about the bump. That's all I got. Thank you very much.
Ma'am, you had a question? Ma'am, were you going to speak to the whole issue, or you just have a question?
We have a question, and I speak to the issue, and that's part of the question, Mr. Mayor and City Council. My name is Patricia Neveu. I live on Marilisa Lane.
I'll give you 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. We have no sidewalks. Our children stand next to the street to catch the school bus. My issue was traffic. I know one member of the City Council was told one of the other neighbors they would come and look at the situation. We have no shoulders. We have a dirt strip that people have put in the traffic lights. We've had traffic lights put in. That means that you can't walk down that dirt strip. You must then walk into the street. Our children get off the school bus, and where are they going to walk? People don't drive 25 miles an hour. I've heard it said that this is an arterial roadway, that it's a straight going in and out of the city with 2 lanes and no shoulders. Where are people supposed to walk? I'm concerned with traffic, that by adding the apartments, we're adding more traffic, and it means that it's unsafe for our children who have no sidewalks to walk. For people that are going into Old Messiah, they drive 30 miles an hour. Now, I realize that's a personal issue for those people, but we just want our children to be safe. We want them to walk down our streets, and there is nowhere to walk. Please, drive by our neighborhood. You'll see what we're talking about. That building the apartments is great. We need that kind of housing. We just don't need the traffic. Thank you all.
Thank you. So does the group have somebody that was willing to speak on behalf of the issues? That's why we tabled it. We heard the group speak before. So It's like, I just want somebody to come up and speak as a spokesperson, as a. Okay, well, come on up, I'll give you 2 minutes, and then we're just gonna randomly select a couple more to speak, okay?
Okay. We've already, my name is Joe LaRock, I live on Marilisa also. We've already mentioned that the original zoning was a compromise between what the residents wanted and the subdivision developer wanted. And he wanted like 6 houses per lot and all this stuff, and they changed all that. He wanted the 2-story apartments. The mayor at the time and the city council agreed that that was stressing the neighborhood too much, the 6 lots per acre and all the rest of it. At the same time that all this was going on, it was brought up in city council that Bouts is an arterial collector street, that it does not meet any of the definitions of a collector street that are set by regulation. It was designated that because it comes from Mesilla to Las Cruces, and it doesn't meet the standards to be that. But it's designated that, so that's what the TIA said it was. Okay? My main objective to the whole thing is that I think this is just trying to do an in-run around what was originally agreed on, and I don't think that is appropriate, and I don't think the city council should allow it. Thank you.
Diane Williams again. I'm not going to hash over any of the issues. We've pretty much discussed them all. But I hear reference to traffic calming. And I wonder how you calm traffic on a 2-lane road.
I'm sorry, ma'am, can you state your name again?
Diane Williams. How do you calm traffic on a 2-lane road where you're adding over 100 with the houses and the apartments? Vehicles, just them alone, will be using that road, as well as people that come visit them. When you have 2 lanes, crumbling little asphalt shoulder, I believe it's maybe 8 inches on one side, maybe a foot, 1.5 feet on the other side, and then you have people's walls, people's driveways. Are you going to take over people's properties? There's no place to put in sidewalks and curbs. You know, so what do? We just wait for a kid to get hit? You wait for me to get hit. You know, if I have to dodge around garbage cans or light poles when I'm walking, I am walking sideways on a drainage ditch. You know, how do you calm the traffic in that situation? Please consider that. Thank you.
Yes, sir, come on up.
Sorry. Henry Wilson, Marilisa Lane. I don't know how we got to this point after 4 years of discussing this housing project. And still,
Sir, can you speak a little closer to the mic and directly into it?
I don't know how we got to this point after 4 years of discussing that project. The first meeting was 4 years ago. And still don't know the number of apartments that were planned, are planned, or want to be planned. I heard 63, 64, I don't know. After 4 years, and they're still not sure of the number of apartments. Sounds like something's trying to be changed to cause something else. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Yes, sir, come on up.
My name is Raymond F. Bernstein, Jr. I am a part of the housing area, and I was very involved in the original request for keeping things down. I'm going to be very, very brief. Most of the things I want to say today have been said. There's one thing, though, I would like specifically the council to take note of. We have a practice, it is institutionalized, the way we do business in the city is we we have the developer do the TIA. Who in the world is going to to fund a TIA that's not going to suit their purpose? It's like the fox with the hen house. They're always going to say that things are great. And what was said about the size of the roads, I took pictures the first time around. The roads are radically smaller than what was actually the template, the specification for the arterial routes. So I would ask you to strongly consider rejecting this proposal. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead and take one more. The gentleman back.
My name is Robert McCorkle, live at 1130 Marlisa Lane. I spoke to you last time. Some of the questions that we're finally getting answers to were prompted by an email I sent to every counselor and the mayor. It looks like they're trying to pull the old bait and switch on us here. And I don't appreciate it. And it disturbs me that Mr. Weir says, well, we could come back in a year, you know, if we need to do some more amendments to it. No, that's it. You had your chance. You made a promise to us. You're in the process maybe of breaking that promise. And I'll agree, we need more housing. There's no question, Councilor Bencomo. But let's make sure it's the right housing that'll serve the most people who need it. This doesn't seem like affordable housing to me. The average rent in this city is, depending on what website you look at, $800 to $1,000 for a single, I don't know, 500 square feet, whatever it might be. There's going to be students, because it's not far from NMSU, and you know as well as I do, it's not just going to be one student in that apartment. It's going to be probably 2, 3, or 4. All of them probably have their own vehicle. That, you know, we're talking adding, who knows how many more vehicles, 1,000 over time, and the TIA is 4 years old. The city of Las Cruces has grown by about 4,000 people since then. A lot of them use bouts to go to Mesilla, and that's going to increase that traffic coming through there. And the bigger problem, I think, is going to be at El Paseo and Bouts because it's going to stack up there. It already does. So I urge you, vote this down. It's not the time, it's not the place. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. I'll see if council, you have any more questions? Anyone? Okay, Mr. Weir, I just have a couple of comments. So this was agreed upon 4 years ago. And you said after a denial of 1 year, then they can come back and make some changes. But in that time, there hasn't been any other changes, correct?
Mayor, there's been no other request to change the zoning since 2020.
And everything that was agreed upon at that time has been adhered to?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Nothing. Okay, Chris.
No, I'll just.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Since you're here, Mr. Weir, I guess I want to make the amendment on 35 feet just for to end the misinformation around 4 feet, a 4-story apartment complex and those kinds of things. Is that something that staff would recommend?
Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem, yes, staff would be comfortable with the recommendation of 35 feet. That's what the maximum height is for the adjacent properties that are with the R1 zoning.
Okay, thank you. So then I would like to make a motion to amend this to include a 35-foot height limit.
I have a question. Is that height, why are we talking height instead of floors? How many floors?
Sir, you can't yell from the... Sir, you have to come to the...
Sir.
Yeah, you people are going to do what you want to do. I'm looking.
Okay. Mr. Weir, I heard his... Sir.
Floors is 35 feet. I don't need you to come back here. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Mr. Weir, can you explain? Oh, my God.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Weir.
Go ahead, continue.
I'm sorry. Mr. Weir, can you please talk about 35 feet and what that means?
Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem, 35 feet is from the ground floor where the dirt is to the maximum peak of the structure. That's, it's not an arbitrary number. Stories can vary from 10 to 20 feet in height. So it's an exact number. The neighborhood knows, city staff knows what they're getting with 35 feet.
So realistically, in 35 feet, could you build 3 floors?
It would probably be difficult to do that. Larry, what most are 12 feet is where you have your floor, you have your mechanicals where you have like your air ducts for your your heating and cooling and running your mechanicals. Then you would have another floor on that. If it were the same, that'd be 24, and then you would only have, 9 feet left. It's rather difficult you couldn't get another 12-foot story in.
So what if I say 30 instead of 35? Or is 35, you're saying 35 is not an arbitrary number, is what you just said?
The reason staff has provided that number, it's what the single-family homes adjacent to the lot are allowed already. So you're not allowing a height greater than what the adjacent zoning has.
Okay, I will keep with my amendment.
Let me get this. He has a question before. Let me just have him. Come on up, sir.
I second the amendment.
Do you have to? Hold on, sir.
This is on the motion to amend ordinance 3065 to add the 35-foot height limit. Councilor McClure?
Yes.
Councilor Matisse?
No.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Cran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores?
No.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay.
Sir, you had a question?
Yes, I was up here before. My name's Joe LaRock, and I'm not talking about what we did before. This is about the amendment. And I think if you take a show of hands of the people from our neighborhood, we're not concerned with 20 feet or 35 feet or whatever. We're concerned with 1 story or 2 stories and how that affects the traffic the apartment complex will create. And 35-foot 2-story is basically giving them exactly what they want. And I'm saying we want 1 story to restrict the traffic instead of doubling the number of apartments. So I don't think the foot has anything to do with whether it's 1 story or 2 stories. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
This is on the motion.
I'm sorry, did you have a comment? McClure?
Yeah, I have a question. Perhaps David Cedillo could speak a little bit to traffic calming. I know that we're working on collector and arterial calming. I know that there's ways of slowing traffic down manually. And what would that look like for Bouts? What would that look like for Stern? If you could speak a little bit to that, I think that would be helpful.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Councilor McClure, you're correct. Public Works is working on a traffic calming mitigation policy for both arterials and collectors. As far as what can be done on Bouts and Stern, those are going to be site-specific and based on many things as we go through. So we will take a look at what those items are and see which applications will work best based on configuration, existing conditions, traffic itself. Because again, some of these streets are not comparable. Some are built out, some are not. So we would take all of those items into consideration. Go ahead, Council.
Thank you. Just kind of give some examples of what does that look like when we say traffic calming, and I know that there are it varies depending on the road and the conditions and the amount of people. But what are some ideas so that people can walk away and say, these are some ideas of what might happen in the future when we do integrate more housing into this area?
Mayor, Councilor McClure, some things that can be done are narrowing of travel lanes. Those are an options. Again, depending on the number of lanes that are out there, what the traffic is doing out there, that is one way to look at it. In residential streets, we do have speed tables. Although these roadways are classified with a little bit higher speeds, we would really not recommend those types of things. Again, look at different ways of how to slow traffic. We could do planting of trees. There are other factors that we can install in the right-of-way that we have available to us to be able to do that.
Thank you.
Councilor Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't know if this is, well, hopefully you can handle, I know you can handle it. I hope you can answer it. I know that there's a lot of development in District 6, and every time something is built, my understanding is that the developer or the builder, someone is responsible for putting in the drainage, the sidewalks, that sort of stuff. Would that be happening with this new development?
Councilor Flores, I will turn that over to Mr. Weir to answer. If there's any supplemental questions or anything, I can assist as well.
Thank you, Mr. Cedillo. Thank you.
Mayor and Councilor Flores, the developer of the Banmore subdivision and then any outstanding public improvements with these 3 lots, when they came in, would be responsible for putting that infrastructure in. The sidewalks along Stern and Bouts are already in place. They were built with the initial single-family zoning. All the roads are paved. The individual lots interior to the subdivision will be built with the construction of those each individual lots. So the internal sidewalk system will be built out when all the homes are built and apartments are placed on these 3 lots.
So why is it that we have a woman who came up to speak, I think a couple of times now at least, that there aren't any sidewalks, that children have to cross those streets? And I know I've been down that street several times, and it always looks very rural to me. It looks very undeveloped. So if we do have, but you're saying that there are sidewalks there, and where exactly would that be?
Mayor and Councilor Flores, the Banmore subdivision was built under the time that all sidewalks were required, and they've done that. The residential areas to the west do not have any sidewalks in front of their lots. Evidently, at the time that was built, it was either outside of the city limits and they weren't required, or when they were approved by the city, there either wasn't a requirement or there was some type of waiver for those. So those are existing development that took place prior to some of the sidewalk requirements being managed. Those lots are a little bit larger. There are certain conditions when sidewalks aren't required for residential development. But those have been, all the right-of-ways and streets have been within the city system and our responsibility for some time.
So those units, if they're built, if it's approved, would have a sidewalk?
Yes.
So you'd have a patch of sidewalk?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else? Christine?
This is on the motion to approve ordinance 3065 as amended. Councilor McClure?
Yes.
Councilor Matisse?
No.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Coran?
Yes.
Councilor Flotis?
No.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Next on the agenda, 9.1, Council Bill number 24-024, ordinance number 3066, an ordinance conforming the successful completion of the Local Economic Development Act, LEDA, project with X2N SAT, Inc., and authorizing its termination to include the project participation agreement, intergovernmental agreement, and the release of the $150,000 guarantee that has served as security for the project. And Elizabeth Teeters.
Move to approve, Graham.
Second.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. My name is Elizabeth Teeters, and I'm here to talk to you about the successful closeout of one of our Local Economic Development Act projects, X2NSAT. So just a little background information. LEDA, the Local Economic Development Act, the objectives are to assist expanding and relocating businesses that stimulate economic growth, have significant community impact and support, increase wages and provide job creation, and promote significant new private capital investment. The use of LEDA funds is to purchase, lease, construct, improve, or acquire buildings or infrastructure, public works improvements essential to the location or expansion, and it is on a reimbursement basis. A little bit of background on X2NSAT. So they are a regional satellite communications company. They specialize in satellite communications for tracking and management of fleet vehicles and related commercial activities. This is one of our businesses and our key tenants at the Las Cruces Innovation and Industrial Park. This project started back in October in 2016. An ordinance was adopted by City Council at the time. We did do an administrative amendment in March of 2019 to extend it from 2000 to 2023. They got into a little bit of difficulty. Construction took longer than they expected, and they needed fiber that they didn't currently have at the industrial park. So we agreed to let them extend their agreement. So the state, with this project, to close it out, they did an economic impact analysis. So we put $150,000 into this project as a form of a lien on the property. And you can see here in between 4 and 5 years, we got a return on our investment. So a breakdown a little bit more of the agreement itself. The state, New Mexico Economic Development Department, contributed $300,000, so they got their ROI in a little less than 7 years. We did the land LEDA for $150,000, so our return was in about 4.5 years. We were the fiscal agent for the project, and so since the LEDA is adopted via ordinance, we have to finalize via ordinance, which is why we're in front of you today. So with that, these are your council options.
Any questions? Go ahead, Councilor Coran.
No, thank you. Sorry, can you go back to thank you so much, Elizabeth, for this presentation. I just wanted to follow up and say this is super interesting, especially given that, on our agenda, we also had another LEDA project that was approved in this consent agenda, but it's cool to see that we had our return on our investment sooner than the state did. Mm-hmm. Can you just tell me what the dynamics of that are? And is that typical? Do we get paid first? And how does that work? I don't completely understand how that works. And then can you tell me what the average time to return on investment in most LEDAs is, approximately, just making a guess?
I am going to turn it over to Ms. Louise Marquez. She is our representative from the New Mexico Economic Development Department, and because the state's the one that does this for us.
Cool, thank you. But no, thank you for your presentation. I really appreciate it, so thank you.
Good afternoon, Council and Mr. Mayor. Louise Marquez with New Mexico Economic Development. What I can tell you is there's no such thing as an average, simply because every project is going to be a different size. What I can say is because the city's investment was $150,000 and the state's investment was $300,000, as money returns, it's easier to reach $150,000 and return on investment.
So it goes proportionally to the different entities. Okay.
It's specific to the award amount.
Okay.
So.
Cool. No, that absolutely answers my question, so thank you.
I'd
And
also like to
no average.
congratulate City Council because it's a pretty exciting time when you get to where you've completed the actual project and you're seeing the benefits of it. So
Very
thank
cool.
you.
Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Anyone else? Questions? Go ahead, Chris.
This is on the motion to approve ordinance 3066. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Cran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Next on the agenda is board appointments. So Counselor Matisse reappoints Patricia Gallegos to the library board. And then I'll need a motion and a second.
Move to approve, Graham.
Second, Corin.
Oh, let me read the appointment first. I'm sorry, that one was an appointment now. Sorry. Okay, this is for Marie Nixon, reappointment to the Health and Human Services Advisory Committee. Now I need a motion and a
Move
second.
to approve, Corin.
Second, Graham.
This is on the motion to reappoint Marnie Nixon to the Health and Human Services Advisory Committee. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Coran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. A motion and a second for Ted Leonard, reappointment to the Airport Advisory Board.
Move to approve.
Second, Matisse.
This is on the motion to reappoint Ted Leonard to the Airport Advisory Board. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Coran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. A motion and a second for Michael Radke, reappointment to the Airport Advisory Board.
So moved.
Second.
This is on the motion to reappoint Michael Radke to the Airport Advisory Board. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Coran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. A motion and a second for Stephanie Hawkins, new appointment to the Lodgers Tax Advisory Board.
So moved, Graham.
Seconded, Corin.
This is on the motion to appoint Stephanie Hawkins to the Lodgers Tax Advisory Board. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Coran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. I need a motion and a second for Kevin Val Perez,
So
new
moved.
appointment to the Lodgers Tax Advisory Board.
So moved by Flores.
Second.
This is on the motion to appoint Kevin Val Perez to the Lodgers Tax Advisory Board. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Coran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Need a motion and a second for Troy Mitchell, new appointment to the Capital Improvements Advisory Committee.
So moved by Flores.
Second, Graham.
This is on the motion to appoint Troy Mitchell to the Capital Improvements Advisory Committee. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Coran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Next, we have a notice of proposed ordinance. There will be no public discussion. A counselor may ask staff for clarification on the proposed ordinance. It's Council Bill number 24-025, ordinance number 3067, an ordinance amending ordinance number 3054, updating the project participation agreement between the city and 828 Productions LLC to add clarifying language for the use of the $2,800,000 in Local Economic Development Act LEDO funds dedicated to the renovations of multiple facilities.
Bring it forward, please.
Next, we have City Council member board reports and comments. I'll start with Councilor McClure.
I think I'm going to speak a little bit about that I was pretty conflicted about the ordinance that we approved, in that I think the clarity to people was a little hard for them to understand. But I think Councilor and Mayor Pro Tem Bencomo's explanation is partially how I feel as well. And I also think that the ask is going to be, especially once we realize being innovative with our developments and rethinking how we actually build and be good neighbors is going to be crucial. For example, if we don't want to have a community built that has any parking at all and it becomes a cycling only, and they know that when they move in, those are novel ideas that are working in other areas, especially if we consider infill in some of, at least in District 1 specifically. So I was conflicted, and I wish we would have talked a little bit more about how to allay some of their concerns in terms of traffic, because I think what the crux is people worry about traffic, not necessarily about people. Even though sometimes I get conflicted when I hear, oh, the apartment dwellers. I was an apartment dweller for 10 years, and I was also very interested in my city. So I wonder about that, and I think it's a strange narrative to have, because not everybody wants to live in a single family home, or can, frankly. So that's all I'd like to say about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Matisse? Nothing. Councilor Graham?
Thanks, Mayor. I just wanted to give a quick thanks to Justin Garcia with the Las Cruces Bulletin. A story that he worked on recently, posted a couple of hours ago, entitled Public Officials Grapple with Threats, Raising Questions About Local Democracy, and covering some disturbing but definitely needing to be covered issues about these kind of threats. Justin he brought in some of the national statistics, but also looked at the state and local level, and I was pleased to participate in the story. So shout outs as always for local journalism, and give it a look. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Coran?
Thank you, sorry. I wanted to give a few quick notes and shout outs, but also to the question earlier, I also think Mayor Pro Tem Bencomo's sort of thinking about this really speaks to it. But I would also say, as we continue this conversation with Realize, there is a lot of fear-mongering happening about what your neighborhoods are going to look like. And I just really want to say, first of all, when you come to us shouting about folks who live in apartments, or folks who, like me, live in a townhouse down the street from an apartment in a vibrant, beautiful neighborhood that I wouldn't give up for anything and truly love, realize that the folks you're talking to might actually live in the types of space that we're talking about, increased density, and I will encourage anyone who's sort of thinking critically about Realize to consider both the housing situation that we exist in and the environmental situation that we live in, and understanding that denser housing is always better for the environment, and know that we're also working on the traffic calming discussions very seriously, I think, and we've been having those discussions. I have a list of the streets in my district where folks are crying out for traffic calming. So we can do all of those things at the same time: address sustainability, address the housing crisis, address safety in our neighborhoods meaningfully, And also, just as a note, don't let internet fear-mongering and misinformation really inform what you perceive of things like reforms of zoning that really give homeowners a lot more power to build granny flats and other things, among a myriad of other things that are part of that. But please know when you're yelling about duplexes that you're talking to someone who lives in one. So what you say subsequently might be viewed with some skepticism from my part, although I can understand why you might not want me in your neighborhood. I do want to give a couple shout outs of experiences this week. I planted a tree in my front yard, and this is not, a story necessarily about planting the tree. By the way, I got it on what I call the death row of plants at one of the big stores. I'm sorry to admit it, but I feel really bad for those plants that are on those racks, the clearance racks. Last year, it survived the winter, so I decided I'd put it in my front yard. But first, I called before I dug. I just want to give a quick shout out to this infrastructure. 2 notes. One, you don't actually have to call for people like me who hate talking on the phone. You can do this online. You can request someone to come and put the markers of where there are things that are in the ground, utilities in particular, that you shouldn't dig into. And again, many people don't think this applies to them because maybe you don't dig holes so deep. But in fact, in my case, I did. The hole was that deep, but I had called and there were markers, and I did not cause a gas explosion in my neighborhood. Once again, good neighbor, I'm trying to be. But you can call 811 or do it online if you're a millennial who hates talking on the phone. And they will come to your house. The city of Las Cruces, Daryl in particular, thank you to Las Cruces Utilities, Daryl, who came out and marked the water and gas in my front yard, and CenturyLink and Xfinity will also join in that, and El Paso Electric also join in, but I wanted to give a shout out just to Daryl who did that, in particular from the city. I want to also mention that I met with Marshall Martinez, the Executive Director of Equality New Mexico, about the city of Las Cruces, and Mayor Pro Tem Bencomo, City Manager Tamopeo was there, and we were talking about the Municipal Equality Index of Las Cruces, which I've mentioned before, but I really want to highlight this because we came into this meeting with Gail Estelle, who is the city's ADA coordinator, but also works on our Municipal Equality Index. And since she's been working at the city, we started out with a score of 47, and our score is now 89 out of 100. So special shout out to Gail, who has been working extraordinarily diligently on this in her time at the city, and I'm really proud of the work that she's done and that the city has done to think about this scorecard. And I appreciate Marshall and EQ&M giving us some food for thought for ways to move forward. So thanks to everyone who came to that, and it's holds an exciting future. So the last thing is that this week, it's a crossover. I serve on the board of the food bank of the Roadrunner Food Bank, and I think that they are looking to be expanding their operations in Las Cruces, and so this week I'll be meeting with those folks to think about how they're supporting both local food banks and the community to the south and the southern part of the district, and also partnering with manufacturers, in particular in Juarez, to build a local supply of food that can be distributed to folks who need it. So I'm very excited about the potential expansion and growth of Roadrunner Food Bank here in southern New Mexico. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have a couple of things. The City Art Board is going to be participating in the MITA event on April 24th. April 24th or 20th? I always do that. It's like I feel 4, I see a 7. April 27th, it's going to be on our plaza. And again, this is the second annual Chalk the Plaza. And it invites all artists who want to proceed with the plan. The theme is postcards from Las Cruces, which I understand to be things that are very Las Cruces. It could be I don't know, it's always our mountains, but it could be a cactus, it could be a flower, whatever. At any rate, everyone's invited to participate. There are 10 spots, though, so for those of you who are artists, and there's prizes. I'm not privy to what they are. There was something else I wanted to bring up, but it's escaped. I didn't write it down, so I forgot. Oh, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Councilor Graham, thank you for the shout out to the bulletin article by Justin Garcia. I also participated in that article, and I guess I just really want to, I made a public comment about it on my social media, but I wanted to hear from the dais, just publicly thank Ikani, Chief Story, and Detective Wilbur for the way that they handled my situation and for taking it so seriously, and for just especially Detective Wilbur for being such an advocate for when I didn't know what to do. And so I just really wanted to thank you all very much for holding space for my fear and my anxious rants at times, because it's a very hard situation. So thank you very much. I also want to thank Community of Hope, Nicole Martinez and her staff for hosting a meeting last week with some of the neighboring small businesses of Community of Hope and soon to be Amador Crossings housing project. And Natalie was there as well. And I just wanted to thank everyone who came for engaging in that meaningful conversation. And for continuing to engage in that conversation. And then additional shout out to Dr. Schumacher, who has experienced a significant amount of grief in her location, and it doesn't go unnoticed and very much seen. But additionally, she hosted a free vet clinic there at Community of Hope, where people came in and brought their pets, and she took care of them, and it was really beautiful. And I think it's such an important bridge building practice for us to, have these kinds of conversations and engagements beyond, the 3-minute podium talks here. And so I really just want to thank everybody. I had 2 District 4 open houses, and I can't thank Katrina and Grace enough for all of the work that they did to put them together. I don't know if this is public yet, but we are losing Grace back to the LCPD. Chief, no, bone to pick with you, Chief, for poaching her. Sorry, everybody, he just gave me a thumbs up, and he looks very happy about it, which I am also happy about it, but I'm also very sad about it. Sorry, Chief, to put you on the spot. But Grace, you're wonderful, and you've been wonderful in this office, and I'm excited that you'll continue the work, that you're not leaving the city, thankfully. But Katrina and Grace helped tremendously with setting this up. Oh no, I lost my email here. I wanted to just specifically thank some people who came, because the model that we did, I think, involved a lot more staff than it usually does. And they came twice, they stayed 2 hours, and they talked to so many community members in District 4 who had some real concerns, who had questions, and they all were there to answer them graciously. So a ton of city staff. We had animal control. Gino Jimenez came to both meetings. Economic development staff also came to both meetings. Chris, Elena, and Blair. LCPD codes, Officer Roach and Officer Ellis. Partners like NMDOT were there as well. Our Project Light team number 1 was there. Even if they were getting calls, they were coming in and out. Public Works. David Cedillo was the only one there the first meeting, and I want to note that so that if Tony's hearing, we can guilt him a little bit, because David had the longest line ever. There's so many people that were wanting to talk to him, and Tony left him all by himself. But he did come the second meeting, so that was good. So we forgave him a little bit. Partners like Mesilla Valley Community of Hope were there for both meetings, as well as Legal Aid, who you met here today. We had our LCPD community advocates, David, Charlie Velasco, Belina, and Alicia. And then this last meeting, a couple members from the school board also came, School Board Member Nolan and Tenorio. And then, of course, we had utilities, Adrian Whitmer, who came to our second one, and then community development, who also came to our second one as we were sort of adjusting from the first one. So there's a ton of folks, and I just want to express my sincerest gratitude to everybody. Really quickly, I did mention earlier that Connie and Mayor, I would love for us to talk with community development about inclusionary zoning, unless that is something that's in real life. I don't know if it is, but I think it is important that we talk about having a tool for us to be able to offer developers a density bonus with the commitment that they save some of those apartment units and that they make them affordable housing units. And so I feel like a really important tool for private-public partnerships to continue as we build apartments and multifamily dwellings within the infill. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was, I know that we contract with security. We contract with a third party with security for the downtown and sometimes even for our partners like a Community of Hope, or at least hope to provide that service for them in the near future. But I'm hoping that in that contract, we can request additional training for those security guards who are, in fact, very much at the forefront of navigating with folks who may have mental illness, folks who may have substance use issues, and may not have the training to sort of deal and have those appropriate conversations with folks. My stepdaughter was walking a dog. She was dog sitting, and she was walking the dog on the downtown plaza, and one of the security guards barked at her. And so I just want us that if we're contracting with these folks, that they're providing important and good customer service. And I'm hoping that we can talk about how we can build into that contract like mental health first aid training or things like that I think are an important piece of customer service, like Chief Story has talked about with PD as well. So I will stop talking there, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to note for the record a couple of the public comments. The evaluator that we're going to use to evaluate our city council meetings is not a cost to the city. It is something that is provided from the municipal league, and that's why I want to take advantage of that. And then also with that, there are a lot of things that the city is working on. We have a couple of work sessions that are coming up with the budget and then with also some ordinance to come. So we are looking at public safety. We are looking at social well-being. We are looking at the homelessness situation, and we are looking at petty crime. So those are the things that we are working on, and we are going to move forward. I just wanted to mention the evaluator is no cost. That is something that is provided. And then also, I did attend Central Elementary Career Day, so I did go there on Friday, but also attended this weekend was the first annual Pecan Festival at Young Park. The Green Chamber was there, the Greater Chamber was there for the ribbon cutting because it was the inaugural event. I was very pleased because that is something that is in our backyard. That's our culture, that's our agriculture, that's a staple in our community, and it was the first one, and it's great, and I look forward to, there's a lot of vendors there, music and fun, and I think it's just going to get bigger and bigger and will represent the city of Las Cruces and the Mesilla Valley altogether. And then also, last night we had our banquet for the mayor's top teens. It was a great program, a great event. Our future is bright. To see these young students that are taking the initiative to set a higher standard for themselves is just going to represent our community in the future. So with that, I want to give a special shout out to our Councilor Matisse. When he was mayor, he was a founder. So this was actually number 17 that came through. So thank you very much.
No, thank you for that recognition. And same that you said, such great future when you see these kids and you meet them. They have a lot going for them, and I think we speak about a lot of negative, but there's so much positive out there when you spend time with these top teens. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
No, thank you, Councilor Matisse. It's a great event, and we're just going to continue to go. And I even mentioned we're always looking for sponsors. We're always looking for sponsors to help us with this event. So we're going to start reaching out to those students 17 years ago that now are probably real successful, that they can pay it forward. So With that, I'll turn it over to the city manager. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Enriquez and city councilors, Icani Tamobeo, city manager. Just have a few announcements. Number one, regarding the taxable general obligation, our GO bonds for 2024. This is one that our city treasurer said to share as information. Just to keep you apprised, bonds were sold by competitive sale on March 14th, 2024. Robert W. Baird and Company was a best bidder for the bonds. The sale amount was at par of $6 million as directed with a premium of $32,483.50. Net effective interest rate of 4.79%, less than 10%. Purchase discounts of 0.52%, less than 4%. Bonds closed on April 11th, 2024. City receives the bond proceeds. Final payment on bonds specified as August 1st, 2032, which meet ordinance parameters. This presentation fulfills the final requirements of the ordinance to report to you, council, and mayor on the details of the pricing certificate and award certificate at a regularly scheduled public meeting of council. All right, well, thank you to our city treasurer and all the work that you and your team are doing with the bonds. Next, there was a public comment on animal control ordinance. And so just an update, I appreciate Barbara, who is on Teams right now following us. She was able to get an update on the 11th of April, talking with PD and Gino and Joy Wiedela. They are working on the animal control. They are working on the animal welfare ordinance. So just want to give everyone a heads up that they have a solid draft and they're working through that. And what they're saying is that they feel that they can approach many of the concerns that have been posted by the groups. So please stay tuned on that and more to come from Chief and their team, I'm sure. Appreciate Sonia getting with many of the departments, one being JU. They are reviewing the new EPA regulations for PFAS, which is a chemical that is man-made, found in many of the products, including foam, that trickles down into the soils that's bad for humans, causing cancer. So the great news is we believe our wells are within regulated compliance, and so that's a great thing. So we appreciate Adrian and her team keeping and testing the waters to make sure they're safe for our residents. So press release is planned to be released later this week, so just wanted to give you all a heads up on that. Congratulations to our sustainability team. They have been awarded $500,000 from the Department of Energy for the Plugged In for Good Alliance. This essentially means what they'll do with the funds is, along with the sustainability partners within the community, will develop a market-based home retrofit program and skilled workforce to increase energy efficiency, affordability, and ensure residents' comfort and safety during extreme heat events. Last but not least, we have museum. Our museum team had two big exhibit openers that drew 390 attendees, high school senior art show and artist Roberto Salas. Additionally, there was an eclipse party that drew about 500 attendees. And last but not least, we have Parks and Rec. They have two things happening. Art Recycle Show. The Parks and Rec Department, in collaboration with Keep Las Cruces Beautiful, will host the first ever art recycling show. The Art Recycle Show will be part of an Earth Day event from 5 to 8 p.m. Friday, April 19th, 2024 at Plaza de las Cruces. For any questions, please reach out to KLCB. And Great American Cleanup. This is a call for volunteers. So if you know anyone, mayor, councilors, please reach out to, and anyone who's interested in the community, please reach out to the KLCB. They will have a cleanup from 8 a.m. to noon on Saturday, April 27th. A lunch will be provided for all volunteers from 12 to 2 on April 27th, each at Walmart Supercenter locations within the city of Las Cruces. Individual volunteer groups and civic organizations are invited to register for this year's Great American Cleanup event. Public can do their household cleanup and dispose of trash with containers around the city For more information, reach out to KLCB. Thank you, Mayor, Council. That is all. Oh, yeah, I read it.
Thought he had a presentation. That's it. Motion to adjourn.
So moved, Graham.
Second.
This is on the motion to adjourn the meeting. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Cran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores? To adjourn.
Of course, yes.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.